6:02 a.m., Angola Prison, Louisiana. The gate creaked open, not with urgency, not with celebration, just a mechanical groan, as if even the metal doubted he belonged outside. Isaiah Brooks stood on the threshold with nothing but a small duffel bag, a brown envelope of papers, and a pair of ill-fitting jeans issued by the Department of Corrections. 20 years behind bars, 7,300 days of lost time, 20 years for a crime he didn't commit. His first breath of outside air felt like inhaling a lie. A young woman waited by a rusted sedan parked just beyond the fence. She waved, nervously. Her hair was frizzy from humidity, glasses slipping down her nose. "Mr. Brooks, I'm Leah Grayson. I'm the attorney on your case, the Innocence Project." Isaiah nodded. His voice had grown quieter in prison, not out of weakness, but survival. "I know who you are." She handed him a coffee. "I figured you'd want something that didn't taste like cardboard and bleach." He took it, not drinking, just holding the warmth. "How do I start over?" he asked. Leah looked at him with a sad smile. "We start with the truth, and then we figure out everything else." 7:17 a.m., Interstate 10 headed east. They drove in silence for a long time. The world moved too fast. Cars zipped by like bullets. Billboard ads screamed promises he didn't trust. Isaiah stared at the sky. "I forgot clouds had shapes," he murmured. Leah glanced sideways. "They told me you were quiet." "Words don't mean much in prison. Not the right ones." "Well, I'm here to listen." He didn't respond. But he didn't close off either. 8:30 a.m., motel off Highway 19. Room 203, a bed, a TV, a microwave, a welcome basket from the non-profit. "We'll get you something more stable," Leah said. "This is temporary." Isaiah stood by the window. Outside, a man argued loudly with someone on a phone. "Everything feels temporary," Isaiah said. She gave him a prepaid phone, ID papers, and a worn booklet titled Re-Entry Guide for Exonerees. "No one expects you to be okay, but you are free now." He turned to face her. "Am I?" 10:42 a.m., Baton Rouge Courthouse. The press conference was brief. Leah stood beside him giving the statement. Today, justice was partially served. Isaiah Brooks was wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't commit. DNA evidence now confirms his innocence. Isaiah stood silently beside her, eyes hidden behind cheap sunglasses. Reporters barked questions. "Mr. Brooks, what do you plan to do now? How does it feel to be vindicated after 20 years? Do you blame the prosecutor?" He didn't answer. Because the truth was, he wasn't vindicated. He was released. Vindication would have meant someone apologized, someone paid, someone cared. 12 p.m., Leah's office. Stacks of boxes lined the small legal office. Case files, court motions, petitions. Isaiah sat stiffly in a chair, his frame too large for the cheap plastic seat. "I looked for you after the trial. Found that you'd written over 60 letters from prison. No one ever answered." "That's because I stopped being a person. I became a file." She leaned forward. "You're more than a file now. You can go anywhere, say anything." Isaiah leaned back, his jaw tight. "My mother died while I was inside. My daughter was 3 when I got locked up. She's 23 now and doesn't return my letters." He paused. "Where exactly am I supposed to go?" 2:15 p.m., Isaiah's first walk alone. He walked 5 blocks, no destination, just movement. He passed a schoolyard, a bus stop, a father carrying groceries with his son. They stared at him. Tuesday, 7:15 a.m., Motel Room 203. The morning light pushed through the thin curtain like an unwanted visitor. Isaiah sat on the edge of the bed, fully dressed since 6 a.m., his re-entry manual open beside him. Step 1, get an ID. Step 2, open a bank account. Step 3, secure employment. Simple, printed words, but to Isaiah, they read like riddles carved in stone. He had spent 20 years inside a cell. Now he had to prove he deserved to be outside it. Again, and again, and again. 8:30 a.m., Department of Motor Vehicles. He waited in line for nearly an hour, flanked by teenagers scrolling on their phones and impatient parents. When he reached the counter, the woman behind the glass gave him a polite smile. Identification? I don't have one. I have this. He handed her the folder Leah prepared. Prison release documents, proof of innocence, birth certificate copy. Her smile faded. She flipped through the papers, lips tightening. This will need a supervisor's approval. Of course it will, Isaiah muttered. 9:15 a.m., same DMV window, later. A manager appeared, mid-30s, eyes wary. Sir, do you have proof of residence? Just this motel room, temporary. Then we can't issue a state ID without proof of residence. Then how am I supposed to get a job? The man shrugged, uncomfortable. I don't make the rules. No, you just hide behind them. He walked out before he could lose his temper. 10:22 a.m., bus stop bench. Isaiah sat motionless, watching a pigeon limp across the sidewalk. A mother pulled her child slightly closer when she passed him. A man in a suit glanced at him, then crossed the street. Isaiah didn't move. He felt it again, that same cold weight he knew in prison. Invisibility, distrust, containment without bars. 11:50 a.m., Second Path Employment Services. A small office with inspirational posters on the walls and a tired-looking woman at the front desk. Her name was Tanya. Mr. Brooks, she said warmly, I saw your press conference. I'm glad you called. You still have jobs for someone like me? We don't discriminate. He tilted his head. That's not the same as believing me. She met his gaze, gently. You're here. That says enough. She gave him a list of openings. Warehouse loader, kitchen prep, janitorial. Some ask for background checks, she warned. Let them, Isaiah said. 1 p.m., job interview, warehouse lot. A chain-linked fence, diesel fumes. The foreman, a stocky man with tattooed arms and mirrored shades, looked over Isaiah's resume with suspicion. 20-year gap. Wrongful conviction. I was cleared. That so? The man squinted. You ever do shipping work before? I moved crates in prison, day and night. The foreman smirked. Prison labor ain't exactly job experience. Isaiah kept his eyes steady. It's endurance and skill and showing up no matter what. The foreman tapped the resume on his clipboard. I'll think about it. Isaiah walked away knowing what that meant. 3:30 p.m., Library Computer Lab. He stared at the job application form on the screen. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Technically, yes. Legally, no. But he knew how systems worked. One Google search and the truth, or the twisted version of it, would scream louder than any checkbox. He clicked yes, then closed the browser and walked away. 5:45 p.m. Leah's office. She looked up as he walked in. Wednesday, 7:25 a.m. Motel room 203. Isaiah stared at the burner phone. The call from the night before still rang in his ears. The stunned silence, then the click of rejection. "She heard my voice," he muttered, and she hung up. The phone didn't ring back. It hadn't rung all night. There was no voicemail, no message, just silence, and 20 years of absence sitting heavy in his chest like a collapsed roof. 8:30 a.m., Leah's office. She pushed a manila folder across the desk. "I pulled the trial records. Something's off." Isaiah raised an eyebrow. "Off like what?" "Off like the lead detective claimed to have gotten an anonymous tip about you the day after the murder, but there's no phone record, no report, just his word." "So he made it up?" Leah nodded. "That's my theory." "And the prosecutor? He withheld exculpatory evidence. A witness who placed you miles away. I found her. She's alive, and she remembers." Isaiah gritted his teeth. 20 years, and all of it based on a lie. Leah leaned in. "If we can prove misconduct, it's not just your name we clear, it's your right to sue them." Isaiah looked down at his hands. "I don't want revenge. I want restoration." "Maybe you can have both." 10:45 a.m., East Baton Rouge Library. Isaiah sat at a public computer. The clerk had shown him how to use social media. He typed Jada Brooks. Hundreds of results. Then, a face. Mid-20s. Brown eyes. Same cheekbones as Evelyn, Isaiah's late wife. Her page was private, but one post showed a recent photo, her in a graduation gown, standing next to a woman Isaiah didn't recognize. "She made it through college," he whispered. He clicked on the comment thread. One reply caught his eye. "You're amazing, Jada, just like your mom." Isaiah stared. There was no mention of him, no father, just void. 12:20 p.m., Leah's apartment. She handed him a grilled cheese sandwich, still hot off the pan. "You found her?" "Yeah. She doesn't want to be found." Leah sat beside him. "Sometimes silence isn't hate, it's protection." "From me?" "From pain." Isaiah set the sandwich down. "I missed her first steps, her first words, her graduation. I don't even know what music she likes." "You know what she didn't miss?" Leah said. "Your name being dragged in the papers, your face on TV next to words like killer and monster. Maybe silence was her way of surviving." Isaiah looked out the window. "I don't want her to survive me. I want her to know me." 3 p.m., re-entry group meeting. Victor patted Isaiah on the back. "I heard about the daughter." "She doesn't want me." "Yet?" Isaiah stayed quiet. Sheila joined in. "You're not trying to force forgiveness, are you?" "No." "Good, 'cause healing doesn't come on demand. You gotta plant it and let it bloom." Isaiah gave a thin smile. "You got metaphors for everything, don't you?" "I was a poet in prison. It's cheaper than therapy." Laughter finally, even from Isaiah. 5:45 p.m., Baton Rouge News Archive Room. Leah combed through microfilm reels. Headlines flickered across the screen. Man arrested in brutal robbery murder. Convicted, Brooks faces life in behind bars. Then, key witness fails to appear. Leah froze. The article stated the witness couldn't be located, but court records showed no motion to delay the trial, no subpoena reissued, nothing. They didn't want her to testify. She picked up her phone. Thursday, 9 a.m., East Baton Rouge Courthouse. Leah stood at the filing window with a thick motion in hand. Petition to vacate conviction based on prosecutorial misconduct and suppression of exculpatory evidence. The clerk barely looked up. You sure about this? Leah met her eyes with fire. 20 years too late is still better than never. Stamp, stamp. Filed. 10:45 a.m., Motel 203. Isaiah stared at the letter he wrote to Jada. Still unsent. He didn't know where she lived. He had her social media, but no way to reach her directly. No message box, no email, no mutual friends. He'd read her graduation caption over 100 times. For Mom, for every moment we were told we couldn't. He whispered to himself. Was I part of the we, or just the reason she had to fight? 1 p.m., community garden event, re-entry group outreach. Victor and Sheila had convinced Isaiah to come. Show the world who you are now, not who they said you were, Sheila had told him. They handed out flyers, handed out food, shook hands with parole officers, ex-cons, and curious neighbors. A woman approached him, early 30s, notebook in hand. Hi, Maya Lucas. I'm a reporter with The Advocate. Isaiah stiffened. No comment. I'm not here to spin. I'm here to understand. You're not just a case file anymore. You're someone they buried. He looked at her closely. Then start digging. But dig for all of us, not just me. 4:30 p.m., Leah's office. Leah nearly ran into Isaiah in the hallway. We got a court date. Preliminary hearing 2 weeks from now. Isaiah leaned on the doorframe. What happens if we win? Your record's fully cleared. You can sue. You can finally breathe. And if we lose? Leah hesitated. Then we make noise. Enough to shake loose the truth. 7:15 p.m., library computer lab. Isaiah sat down at a computer again. He checked Jada's profile. For the first time in days, there was something new. They freed him. 20 years gone. But what about the years I spent without a father? He stared at it, heart thudding. She saw it. A second post followed hours later. To the man I'm supposed to call Dad, don't reach out yet. Let me find the words first. Isaiah closed his eyes. Not a door slammed shut. A door cracked open. Friday, 11 a.m., Legal Archives, Baton Rouge University. Leah flipped through case files with a student volunteer. Prosecutor's name? The student asked. Douglas K. Merriman, 2003. The student frowned. He had at least 2 other misconduct allegations. One settled in 2008, another dismissed quietly in 2011. Leah narrowed her eyes. They let him keep trying cases? That's Louisiana. Not anymore, it isn't, Leah whispered. Saturday, 2 p.m., Baton Rouge radio station. Isaiah sat nervously across from a local radio host. Why now? The host asked. Why speak? Isaiah spoke into the mic. Because I don't want to be remembered as a man who was caged. I want to be remembered as a man who came back and stood his ground. What do you say to the people who still think you might have done it? I say, come meet me in the light. I've got nothing left to hide. The call board lit up. Voices poured in. Some angry, some sympathetic. Then came the one he never expected. This is Jada Brooks. I don't want an apology on air. I want the truth, face to face. Isaiah froze. Where? Silence. Then, I'll come to you. Just don't disappear again. The line went dead. But Isaiah was no longer breathing. Sunday, 3 p.m., Riverside Cafe, Baton Rouge. Isaiah sat by the window, hands clasped tightly, back stiff. He had ordered a black coffee 15 minutes ago and hadn't touched it. Every time the door opened, his pulse quickened, until finally she walked in. Jada. She was taller than he expected, straight-backed, braided hair pulled tightly, black blazer, no makeup, no smile. Her eyes were mirrors of his, but colder. She sat across from him without saying a word. Friday, 6 p.m., Baton Rouge Civic Center. The room was filled with suits, microphones, and men in polished shoes. Isaiah sat on a modest wooden chair under a lone spotlight across from the Louisiana Committee on Prosecutorial Conduct. His nameplate read, Isaiah Brooks, Exoneree. He cleared his throat, steady but measured. "I'm not here to get even," he began. "I'm here so no one has to sit in a cage and scream the truth into silence for 20 years again." The room hushed. "They stole my name, my daughter, my future, and all I asked for was a chance to prove I wasn't who they said I was." A commissioner leaned in. "And now?" "Now," Isaiah said, "I want that stolen time to mean something for the next man still waiting." Saturday, 4:30 p.m., East Side Diner. He arrived 10 minutes early, straightened his new jacket. It still had the tag tucked in his sleeve. Then he saw her, Jada, walking toward him, not smiling, but not guarded. This time she brought a photo. It was of her and her mother, taken when she was 6. "I thought you should see this." Isaiah held the photo gently, as if it might crumble. "She looks like you," he said. "She used to say the same about me. I never believed her until now." They sat down, ordered sweet tea and sandwiches. Nothing fancy, just human. 5:15 p.m., mid-meal honesty. "I'm still angry," Jada admitted, "but I'm also tired of being angry." Isaiah nodded. "That makes 2 of us. I used to dream about you being some superhero. Then I hated you for not showing up. And now—" "Now?" "Now," Jada said, "I just want to know who you are. Not the mugshot, not the newspaper headline. You." Isaiah smiled, soft but real. "That's the man I'm trying to find too." Sunday, 9 a.m., re-entry group gathering. Victor handed Isaiah a clipboard. "They want you to speak next week. New guys coming in, fresh out, some scared, some full of fire." Isaiah hesitated. "I don't want to preach." "You don't have to," Sheila said. "Just be seen. That's all most of us ever needed." Isaiah looked out the window. Baton Rouge bustled beyond the glass, not judging him, not praising him, just moving and waiting. Monday, 2 p.m., City Legal Center. Leah handed Isaiah a thick document, settlement offer, from the state. He opened it slowly. 6 zeros. "Does this make it better?" he asked. "It makes it acknowledged, but it doesn't replace what they took," Leah said. He nodded. "I'm going to use it to start something, not for me, for the ones who still get locked away with no voice." She smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." Tuesday, 7:45 a.m., morning news interview. "Mr. Brooks, do you feel free?" Isaiah looked into the camera. "They cleared my record, but freedom isn't a file being erased. Freedom is when I can walk into a room and not carry their shame. Freedom is when I can say I have a daughter and she chooses to say she has a father. And what now?" Isaiah looked past the camera. "Now I live." Thursday, 6 p.m., Community Hall. A banner read, "The Brooks Foundation, Rebuilding Lives, Restoring Dignity." Volunteers handed out welcome bags. Ex-cons stood in line not for handouts, but for second chances. Isaiah walked the floor, shaking hands, telling jokes, offering hope. Jada stood nearby, clipboard in hand, organizing, helping. She looked over at him. He nodded. She smiled back, this time without armor. Not everything was healed, but it was healing. And for the first time in 2 decades, Isaiah wasn't surviving. He was living.